Hi, not done a video update on this channel for a while, so I thought I'd show you something I've got in the workshop that I probably will be letting go of soon, so I thought I'd let you see it before I do. It's an Otis elevator motor from the turn of last century, so probably around, I don't know, sort of 1905 date. Yeah, Otis was obviously the inventor of the elevator. And these would have been fairly common around that time for driving elevators in tall buildings. I don't know how rare they are now. I think it's pretty rare actually. I've seen I saw one on Mythbusters once, and that's probably the only time I've ever seen one on television. And there's a few Google images of these, but yeah, there's not a lot of information about them. I believe they're referred to as a flathead motor because of the shape of them. You can see it's sort of a flat profile there. Runs on DC, obviously. 200 volts. Let's have a look to show you there. So it's 200 volts, 21 amps. And only 950 RPM, so it's quite slow, but it's quite big. So, and it has a huge amount of torque, and it's very heavy. So it's coming on to sort of, I guess, about 400 kilos. So it's coming up to half a ton in weight. So it's not easy to sort of move about. But yeah, it's an interesting old thing, and you can see the nice large commutator in there. It's got 4 brushes to each side, and it's got compound field coils. So they're 2-speed. So you got a high-speed one here, and that one is separate. So that's the low speed. Sorry, that's the low speed, and that's the. Let me get this right. That's the low speed, and that's the high speed. So there's 2 sets of coils, so that would be one set, and then that would be the other set. Interesting oilers. They're sort of quite common for sort of stationary engines and things of that period. They have a, I don't know if you can see it, there's a ring that sort of sort of rolls along the shaft of the motor. Can't really see it in there. And it just picks up oil from a reservoir, and it sort of rotates it around. So there's like a loose ring on a shaft, and it rotates the oil, rotates around and picks up the oil. There's like an oil filler, and same the other end. So there's another one there, obviously you can't see it. But anyway, yeah, and I've done quite an extensive tear down and restoration on it. And it does run, which I can show you. Right, so I've got it connected as a shunt motor. So if you're not really sure what that means, I've got the armature and the windings, field windings, connected in parallel. So yeah, so we've got two sets of wires coming off the power supply there. So one set for the armature, goes through those brass bars there, and one set for the windings, which are all connected on the binding posts there. Doesn't really matter which way around you connect these, because the motor will always spin in the same direction when it's wired up as a shunt motor. So there we are, let's give it a go. Okay, so that's running at 200 volts now. It's only pulling 5.3 amps, so it ticks over quite nicely without a load there. Doesn't really pull much current at all really. That's on the low speed coil, so that's doing about 540 RPM. Sorry about the shaky camera work, I was picking up on the tripod. But yeah, that could just happily spin away all day like that. Right, so now I've got it wired in series, so we've got the live going to one side of the commutator, then it goes through the commutator, back out again, into the field in that side, so it's going round, in the field, and then, where are we? And then back out again, and then back to the power supply. So you'll now see it take off with quite a lot of speed. It really does take off when it's wired up like this. So yeah, let me show you what happens. 100 volts, and that's probably already going past its maximum RPM. So rated voltage is twice that. $110, so it's starting to sound like a washing machine motor now, and it's really not really rated to go that speed, so I'm going to turn it down now. Centrifugal forces probably won't be very good at that speed on the armature, so don't really want to run it too long like that.